conversational dance is probably the most important part of selling, because that's how you get people to jump on the boat. But there's a lot of different aspects into it, and that's why I think of like more of like a holistic system, because you got to have the art and the science. So I'm going to show you real quick up here the my MP5 sales method that I've developed over the last 20 years, which started off when me and you were working together, 10-minute reg, and went to the Foursquare, and now it's the MP5 sales method, which covers everything holistically. So I'll show you right now.
Perfect. And if after people watch this, if they want to learn more, obviously they can go to jeremykennerson.com and learn more about it as well. All right, let's get the slide deck going here.
All right. Ta-da, ta-da, MP5 sales method. All right. The first part is actually mindset, like we talked about earlier. It's so important because anybody can just train you on anything, right? It's like I can download information. I can sit here and talk to you for the next, I don't know, I'll make it up, 5 days. Let's just say 1 day. I can talk for the next 5 hours on sales, and you're only going to retain 20% of the information that I tell you, which means you're going to lose out on a lot. You're probably not going to be able to take that information and go grow your business or go get better at sales with only retaining 20%, right? But I can sit here and I can teach you all these different aspects and you only retain the 20%, or we can make sure you get in the right mindset first around sales, because so many people have negative connotations about what sales is. They don't want to be the used car salesman from 1976 with the plaid leisure suit and the gold chain just sticking out of his chest hair like that. Nobody wants to feel like they're that person. And that's one of the biggest fears I hear from people is like, I don't want them to think that I'm selling. And it's like, there's a fine line between being that guy and being a business owner that when people are talking to you, they expect you to ask them for their business because you're in business to do business. Yeah. Right? So it's like this limiting belief or this fear that we have, these doubts that we tell ourselves, these stories that are untrue, which kill us before we even get on the phone with somebody.
Right.
And that's, if we don't cover this aspect of it, anything I teach you isn't going to help. So it's very, very important to get in the right mindset. The first part after mindset is science. Okay, I talk about the art and the science a lot. It's science. Were you thinking of what was that?
Doesn't matter.
Farrell. It doesn't matter.
Go.
So we got in science. There's two different aspects of science in the MP5 sales method. The first is the processes. You need to be able to take your processes that you use inside of your business and figure out what you're doing over and over and over again. Because there's things that you're doing that are repeatable. And if they're repeatable, you can set up these processes that are going to save you time, because I can't tell you how much time we spend on going, okay, I need to write this email real quick to this person. And you're taking all this time writing it. Well, you wrote that thing 5 times. You just need to change the freaking first name on it. You know what I mean? Like, let's put that in a process to automate to save you some time. So your processes are being able to outline them is very important. Like, what are you doing during the day? What's your time management like? When are you going to actually sit down and do sales in your business, right? The next part is the procedures. It's like, okay, how can I take those processes and implement those? Because the science, like I said earlier, that's the will of sales. The skill is in the art, but the will is, it's a numbers game. If you get X amount of leads, you're going to close X amount of people. Well, how can I increase that, right? Well, a lot of people don't have any of these procedures set up in place, so they have zero follow-up, so they're not following up with anybody, right? You talk about that all the time. Yeah. And what are the numbers there? It's staggering. Like, I wish I should have brought the slide, but in sales, I think it's like, 80% of people never follow up with somebody that get a lead?
So over 48% give up after the first negative interaction. So that could be them not answering the phone. That could be them not showing up to an appointment. Right. That could be right. And then it goes up to like 71% don't after the second.
Right.
Right? But it takes the 7 to 12 or whatever
Yeah.
of meaningful interactions to actually convert like 80% of sales. And so you can either have that meaningful interaction and then they can go have the others with someone else, or you can continuously have those meaningful interactions and close the business.
Right. And I think that's why in like the Apollo Group was such a big company and we were able to be number one for so long. And even as a sales rep there, it's like the top 1% of sales reps were literally probably only the people that were willing to follow up 5, 6, 7, 8 times.
Right.
Because the majority of people gave up after the first time. You know? So having that kind of stuff outlined, and because everybody's business is different, right? And that's the biggest thing I hear is like everything works in everybody's business and everybody's industry, and that's absolutely true. But if you don't have the personal interaction, like you could take a course and never get anything out of it. I don't know how many of you have done that. I've done that a bunch of times. It's very important to be able to have somebody there to answer your questions, to help you create these processes and these procedures around your specific, not just industry, but your business. It's like I get most strategies work no matter what your business is. But if I don't have you there to help me answer, as a business owner, I'm in the weeds in my own business.
Sure.
I can't see on the other side of the hill to know where I'm going. And so having somebody there to actually help you create those processes and procedures specifically for your business is very important. The next piece that we get into is the art, okay? The art of the sale. This is the skill. This is where the conversational piece is taking place. And this is where we get into the third P, which is progression. This is where it's like I can have a conversation with somebody. This is where you're learning the conversational dance and how to progress that conversation down that path where people say, hey, how do I do business with you?
Right.
And then the next piece is performance is, okay, how can I increase the amount of conversions? How can I go from a 10% close rate to a 20%? How can I go from 20% to 40%? How can I increase that and being able to do that? And a lot of that has to do with, with the with the performance, or not with the performance. That has a lot to do with overcoming objections. Standardizing your closing question, being able to negotiate, and specifically talk about inside of negotiating, like instead of just devaluing your product and discounting, being able to value add to help people a lot. And then the next piece is practice. This is the thing most people leave out. They do something or they learn something and they don't practice really,
or it doesn't work one time.
Yeah,
and then they stop doing it altogether.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, that's madness.
It is madness.
How often do you see that?
All the time.
All the time.
I've done it. I'm sure you've done it.
I knew what the answer to that was.
Yeah,
But.
yeah. Thanks for answering that rhetorical question. But we deal with it a lot, and that's why it's so important in my MP5 Sales Method that I actually go through with my clients and practice with them. So they're not left on their own, practicing in front of a mirror, practicing with their wives, which I totally recommend. But having somebody there that understands this process and can listen to what you're doing and give you training right then and there. And we actually take it a step further in the practice realm. We actually do not just role plays, but we actually do live sales calls. So we actually jump on calls together, and I'm able to give you feedback live so that you're not ruining your leads. Because that's one thing that people do is I don't want to try something new and practice on a live lead and miss out on a deal.